Hey now Deadheads, I am back again. You might notice something a little bit different. Got a new space, got a new shirt from Felix Heads. Check them out on Instagram. This is not sponsored, not an ad, I just like the shirt. And we've got a new record today. But in addition to this new record, we've got some predictions for 2024. A little bit light on the predictions, but I looked inside my crystal ball and we're gonna see what shows up this year. But getting right into it, I do wanna share this brand new release. Came out a couple weeks ago, pre-ordered it back in November, I think, but got delivered a couple weeks ago, official release date. And this is, of course, Dave's Picks Volume 2 on vinyl. So let's get right into what's inside the box. Starting things off, you'll see the hype sticker. You'll see it is 7 records, 180 gram LPs, limited edition of 5,000. They're doing smaller runs on this. I think when this originally came out on CD, it was 12,000. So the vinyl edition is 5,000. Now we've got some fantastic liner notes. I believe these are a faithful reproduction of the original liner notes that came with the CD way back in 2012 with an essay from Blair Jackson. For my taste, this essay is a little bit, heavy on the cultural context, the political context. A lot of contextualizing of Wave That Flag, US blues, and not so much the background on where the Wall of Sound was. Of course, this was the middle of the Wall of Sound era, and when we look at the back of the liner notes and the photos within these liner notes, you really see the beauty and the mass of the Wall of Sound. When we take a look at the records, you'll see that they are in those black paper poly-lined sleeves that we had for the last couple Dave's Picks releases. But something different this time is that they've really ramped up quality control. There's no shards of paper on the vinyl this time. Nice and clean, well packaged. Really great job. I'm really glad that they stepped it up this time. Back of the box, you'll see I've gotten my lowest number I've ever gotten on any Dave's Picks or limited Grateful Dead release with 91 on this. It feels like hitting the lottery. And I know it doesn't mean much. It's not necessarily, this was the 91st time that the stamper stamped these records. It's a little bit arbitrary, but it's kind of fun to get that lower number. So that is what's inside the box, but let's talk about what's on the records. They actually pulled these records, or they pressed these records from a new transfer from the analog tapes, which is really important. I think there is some people avoid, the Dick's Picks re-releases, the Dave's Picks re-releases, because there's a misconception that they are pressing these just from the CDs that came out 10, 20, almost 30 years ago for those early Dick's Picks releases. But this is a new transfer from those analog tapes. The mix, I think, sounds a little bit different. I really picked it up when listening to the China Rider on this, which, by the way, is a fantastic China Rider. That really stands out to me as a highlight from this box set, as well as the Truckin', which shows up in the third set. This is a 3-set show from the Grateful Dead. Another notable inclusion in this box set is Sea Stones. If you go back and you look at the track listing of the 2012 CD release of Dave's Picks Volume 2, Sea Stones was left out. So it's great that we have this Sea Stones side. About 20 minutes, I think, about 20 minutes of Sea Stones on this. I have to admit, I was listening to it a couple days ago. Kind of scared my wife listening to Sea Stones. It's not what you would expect from the Grateful Dead, but it is really nice to have that full show and the history of where the Grateful Dead was in 1974 with those collaborations with Ned Lagan. Speaking of 1974, this is, of course, a Wall of Sound show. That's got all of the beauty and all of the scruffs that might come with a Wall of Sound show. This was middle of the Wall of Sound era, so they've gotten a lot of the bugs out of the system, but one notable, let's say bug in the system or eccentricity of 1974 Dead is that the vocals sound a little bit flat, and I believe this is attributed to the phase-canceling dual microphones that they were using. They didn't want the feedback from all of these massive speakers that were sitting behind the band to go straight into the microphones that they were singing into, and so they used those phase-canceling microphones, which cut out a little bit of the depth from those microphones. Overall, I would say that this is probably the best of the Dave's Picks vinyl releases that we've gotten so far. Kudos to Dave Mark Pincus over at Rhino, the whole team over at Rhino, they've done a fantastic job with this release. Really excited to see how they continue this quality control, this high quality of releases into 2024 and onwards. And on that note, let's look into the crystal ball. Got a few predictions for 2024 and onwards. Of course, we're going to get the 50th anniversary Mars Hotel this year. Very excited about that. Of course, we're going to get at least an announcement of another Dave's Picks vinyl, probably at the end of this year. Of course, Real Gone is going to put out another Dick's Picks release on vinyl. Really excited to see what they do with that. I think they're going to skip over Volume 3. They've hinted at, they were doing 1 and 2 to kind of replace the sins of the past, where the original vinyl releases of Dick's Picks 1 and 2 were sourced from CDs. These were analog sourced versions of Dick's Picks Volume 1 and 2 that came out last couple of years. So we'll see what Real Gone puts out this year for their annual Dick's Picks release. And then, of course, we've got Record Store Day, April 20th coming up, Record Store Day. The list has not been announced yet, but I'm really curious. Are we going to get yet another Europe 72 show? They've rounded out those Fillmore West 1969 shows, and so that's checked off the list. I'm really interested to see what they pull, because it doesn't seem like an obvious choice from the vault of recent releases, and my fingers are crossed for something Grateful Dead movie related. Of course, 1974 was when they recorded the Grateful Dead movie. Not when it came out, but that's when they recorded it at those Winterland shows, those farewell shows before the hiatus. And so I'm hoping this year that we get something on vinyl from the Grateful Dead movie soundtrack. I suspect Meet Up at the Movies this year will be the Grateful Dead movie to celebrate that 50th anniversary, but I would love some sort of physical media release to celebrate that 50th anniversary. And of course, Dead & Company is taking the Sphere. The Deadheads are taking Las Vegas coming up this kind of spring into summer. I've got my tickets going near the end of May. Excited to see all of the Deadheads in Las Vegas, all that tie-dye out in Las Vegas. So if you're going, I hope to see you there as well. And that's it for today. Hoping to record a lot more of these unboxing videos in this new space. If you want to come along for the ride and you're not already subscribed, I will encourage you to subscribe. It's free. You don't have to do it, but it's free, and it helps you stay on top of all of these Grateful Dead releases on vinyl. And that's it for today. Peace.